All right. Multiple bombshells dropping yesterday at Donald Trump's governor's conference. Trump promising transparency and answers on the drone mystery by January 21st. He said, "Give him a day, and he's going to get you the answers." I can't believe there was no coverage of this. The LA wildfires overshadowed it, which makes sense, but major news broke yesterday on the drone slap. And as Trump is saying all of this, governor after governor chimes in completely unscripted moments, admitting constant UAP incursions over their state's critical infrastructure. What? Wait till you see this. You could see the concern on these governors' faces and in their voices as they pipe in one after the next saying, "We have no idea why nobody's reporting on this yet, but it's happening to us as well." It's crazy. We're going to show you the full clip, but before we get started, thank you for liking and sharing these videos. It really helps out the channel. And consider subscribing so you don't miss these regular updates. So the New Jersey drone slap mystery seemed to just disappear from the news media after a month of non-stop coverage. Well, yesterday, it came roaring back with a vengeance at Trump's governor's meeting. They held a press conference with all these governors, and during the Q&A portion with reporters, in a completely unscripted, unplanned moment, you could tell it was completely unscripted, we saw governor after governor after governor pipe in and admit that nobody's reported this in the media yet. But they have constant UAP incursions over their critical infrastructure as well. Like daily, they said, and we don't know what to do about it. What? This is just insane, folks. You could see it on their faces as Virginia's governor started it off, admitting this. Another governor starts to pipe in and says, "Us too. It's happening to us as well." Then another governor and another, looking at each other like, "Am I even allowed to say this?" Well, he said it, so I'll admit it too. Roll the tape.
Very suddenly, do you have any idea whatever happened to the drones?
What happened to drones?
Well, you said that you knew you thought the government knew what was happening with these drones over New Jersey. There were some by Bedminster.
I don't know. They're over Bedminster a lot, so I can imagine. I'm going to give you a report on drones about one day into the administration, because I think it's ridiculous that they're not telling you about what's going on with the drones. And it's not only with me. Glenn was telling me today that in Virginia they have drones all over the place too, and nobody's reporting it. I don't know why they're not. Do you want to say something about that?
Just one quick comment, which is we are home to the largest naval base in the world in Quantico, and we house a lot of the SEAL teams and have a huge national security infrastructure. And now for 2 years running, we have had drone incursion over secure airspace, and we still don't know why. And I think that's absolutely unacceptable. And I think President Trump and the new leadership coming in, I think, will work diligently to understand who's behind this and what we do in order to stop the digital surveillance of all of our secure infrastructure.
Is it dangerous?
Well, I can tell you this. While we were dealing with a terrorist attack in New Orleans, we had drones being flown over our nuclear reactors in Louisiana. And we brought that attention to the FAA. We've been asking the FAA to give these states the ability to mitigate these drones, and it's sitting on some bureaucrat's desk. And that's real.
Nobody knows. They don't want to talk about it. Go ahead, Governor, you're going to say?
I was just going to say we have drones in Wyoming flying over our infrastructure as well. And it's incredibly frustrating that we not only have no way of knowing what it is, but nobody knows how to deal with them.
They don't want to talk about it, and nobody knows why. They don't want to talk about it. That could be us sending drones. I hope that's the case, us doing it and doing research, and maybe they don't want to talk about it from that standpoint. I hope it's not an enemy, but we're going to find out on the 21st, the day after. You have to give me a little time for the inauguration, but shortly thereafter, we'll give you a report on it. We'll tell you exactly what it is. They know, and it's very strange that they aren't talking about it.
This is huge news, and nobody's reporting it. Virginia is home to some of the most sensitive national security sites on the planet. You have the FBI's OpTech division located in Quantico, Virginia, Langley, CIA headquarters, and over a dozen military bases and installations in the state of Virginia. And the governor comes out yesterday admitting they've been dealing with unexplained aerial phenomenon almost daily, just hovering over some of their most sensitive sites. "We don't know what to do about it," he says, looking to Trump to hopefully help his state out. Trump now promising transparency, complete transparency. We've said it before, Donald Trump is being lined up to be the disclosure president. Biden could have done it, but frankly, he doesn't have the stones that are needed. He also doesn't know what the hell's going on. Trump's cabinet, though, is made up almost entirely of huge proponents of UAP disclosure. Marco Rubio, he's on the Gang of Eight. He's the chairman, or was the chairman, of the Senate Intelligence Committee. That's a very powerful committee. The chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence, the House Armed Services Committee, and the Senate Intel Committee, all of them, have SAP and USAP clearances. These are Special Access Program and Unacknowledged Special Access Program clearances to be read into these black projects. From my understanding, Marco Rubio worked personally with the Inspector General of the IC for 2 years, being read into all the details of this David Grush investigation, which the IG ruled was urgent and credible. He sat in personally, Marco Rubio did, during the interviews with these first-hand witnesses on this legacy UAP program. He has the list of names. He has them, the names of the gatekeepers, the keepers of the secrets at the Pentagon who are fully read into this.
You're on the Foreign Affairs Committee and you're really involved in foreign affairs. There have been a lot of articles lately about UFOs. I know this question is a little out there. Is there any truth to any of this?
Well, we don't know. All I've said is we have people that have very high clearances, both today and in the past, who did really important work for our government or continue to do important work for the government, who have come forward with some claims about the U.S. having in the past recovered exotic materials and then reverse engineered those materials to make advances in our own defenses and technologies. That's the claim they make. Now, I don't know if those claims are true or not. What I do know is that one of two things is happening here. Either they're telling the truth, and that is something that obviously would be the biggest story in human history, or we have people in really important positions of government who are crazy and who are out there making up stories and who are still in positions of importance. Either one is a big problem. So we've got to figure out which one of these two it is, because the second one in particular would be very troubling. But we don't. All we know is claims that people have made. These are credible people that have done and continue to do important work for the country. And by law, we're required when they come forward as whistleblowers to take their claims seriously and to investigate them. But we just don't know. That's the answer.
And I've been told that he's got a bone to pick with them because he had one of them, like the main person, the Undersecretary of Defense, I believe, in his office. And he asked them point blank what they know about this legacy UAP program. And that person lied to his face, denied any knowledge of it. Well, now Marco's about to be the Secretary of State. Tulsi, DNI, John Ratcliffe, CIA Director. Ratcliffe, another huge proponent of UAP disclosure. And he already is aware of it. He knows about it from Trump's last term. Trump's National Security Advisor, the new one, Mike Waltz, also on board 100%. Listen to what Mike Waltz said recently. And remember, this is Trump's new National Security Advisor. Watch this.
He found compartmented programs that weren't being considered by the congressionally mandated task force, that weren't being briefed to Congress in a manner that's appropriate with oversight. And when he brought that to his superiors in the Pentagon, he was retaliated against. Correct. Take a step back. I think why Americans are seeing so many, feel like this is really new and they're seeing so much reporting of these sites is because we now have such a proliferation around the world of satellites, of radars, of sensors, of cameras that, 20, 30 years ago, it was, Joe Bob in his pickup truck takes a grainy photo of something he sees in the sky. Now we have radar imagery, thermals, different types of infrared sensors. You can't deny this stuff. Mm-hmm. This is real hard data that is showing objects that are doing things that can't be explained. And it's that data that we've demanded the intelligence community and the Pentagon analyze and come back to Congress to explain, and through us to the American people.
If there was ever an administration that could get to the bottom of this and tell the American people the truth about what our intel agencies and the Pentagon know about UAP, this is the administration to do it. If it doesn't come out in the next 4 years, I doubt it ever will. But it's my understanding that Congress has been lining things up to make it possible. Not definite, but possible. Realize Congress can't do it alone, and the executive branch can't do it alone either. But together, they may have a chance. And one more thing about this, it's bipartisan, right? Chuck Schumer, one of the most powerful Democrats in Washington, wants to help Donald Trump on this. At the UAP hearings in Congress, you had AOC and Tim Burchett working together to uncover what the government knows about this. Two people who are never ever on the same side in a congressional hearing. But there are still a few people standing in the way, Mike Turner and Jim Himes. Mike Turner is a Republican. He's the chairman. How did he become the chairman of the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence? We'll get to that. And Jim Himes is the ranking member of that committee, a Democrat. So you have a Republican and a Democrat working together to stonewall us on this. That's one of those committees, a very important committee, that technically is allowed to be read into this. Legally, it's supposed to be. The chairman at least is supposed to be. They, together, are slow-walking disclosure, using bipartisanship, saying, we both agree, nothing to see here. We shouldn't look into this. We shouldn't do anything about this. They're doing everything they can to stop it.
Conspicuous issue that isn't being discussed in the apparently, broad support inside the Congress for this legislation to be backed, my friend. And you know what it is? It's the so-called HPSC, the House Permanent Select Committee for Intelligence. And the HPSC is dominated by Congressman Michael Turner, a Republican from Ohio, and Jim Himes, a Democrat from Connecticut. They're the chairman and the ranking minority member on the House Permanent Select Committee on Intelligence. And both of those men have made remarkably dismissive comments about the possibility that the government possesses secret alien technology. Well, I'm telling you, my friend, they haven't even read, I'm told, the transcripts of the evidence that has been given to them in evidence by witnesses. Both men made public comments that were remarkably ill-informed, and I have to question, why did the two ranking senior members of the HPSC choose to make public comments that were so dismissive when I understand they hadn't even apprised themselves of the information and the veracity of the witnesses who've actually come forward with evidence? Why is the member from Ohio, which just, by the way, happens to include the Wright-Patterson Air Force Base within its precincts, why would the member from Ohio, Michael Turner, choose to make such dismissive comments and not in any way overtly support this important piece of legislation? If there's nothing to hide, if there's nothing being concealed in secret bases somewhere, if there's not a private aerospace that has got a flying saucer or whatever it is hidden in its basement that was gifted to it by the government 50 or 60 years ago, what have Congressman Michael Turner, the Republican from Ohio, and Jim Himes, the Democrat from Connecticut, got to hide by not endorsing this legislation?
These two congressmen have to be primaried and voted out. They're not working for you. They're not working for me, they're working for their donors. And guess who their largest donors are? Lockheed Martin and Northrop Grumman, at least Mike Turner's. Mike Turner, it also turns out, just so happens to represent Ohio's 10th district, the same district where Wright-Patterson Air Force Base is located, the most sensitive U.S. military base in the world. I wonder how he got to be selected as chairman of the Intel Committee. I wonder. Look, the closer we get to this coming out, the harder the keepers of the secrets will fight it. Trump's team, however, wants to get this done. From my understanding, they really do want to get this done. His team does. I'm not sure how much Trump actually cares about it, but his cabinet, they want to do it. They want to get the information out. Let's see what happens. All right, that wraps up this episode. Like, subscribe, and we'll see you next time.